Hello, we are Group D. My name is Natalie and my teammates are T02, Bungki and Kaisian. Before we start, I would like to give a brief insight on SolarTech's business. SolarTech is a medium-sized manufacturer of solar panel components based in Penang for export markets, earning an average of 25 million ringgit yearly. Despite operating in a green industry, SolarTech relies heavily on coal-based electricity, driving up carbon emissions. Besides, workplace diversity is weak as women make up fewer than 15% of employees and executive positions are dominated by male. This draws negative media coverage and raises potential contract withdrawal if improvements are not made. To address this, SolarTech plans to install rooftop solar panels, upgrade energy efficiency equipment, and launch diversity and inclusion programs. These initiatives increase short-term costs but are crucial for long-term sustainability. In this presentation, we will show how this ESG investment affects SolarTech's financial performance, including its break-even point and profit levels. We will review cost recovery strategies, assess the 3-year cash budget for liquidity, and discuss the operational and ethical implications of these initiatives while aiming for strategies that balances profitability with sustainable growth. I will now pass it over to Sitong.
Hi, I'm Sitong. Today I will be analyzing SolarTech's break-even performance before and after ESG implementation. This comparison will help us understand how the company's financial position and safety margin trend when it invests in solar system and employee-focused programs. Let's start with SolarTech's performance before ESG in 2024. SolarTech sells 2 million units per year at 15 ringgit each with a variable cost of 10 ringgit, giving a 5 ringgit contribution per unit. Fixed cost was 7 million ringgit, so the break-even point was 1.4 million units. Since actual sales were 2 million units, the company operated 600,000 units above break-even, earning a 3 million ringgit profit. The margin of safety was 30%, meaning the company had a comfortable buffer even if sales dropped. Overall, before ESG, SolarTech was in a strong and stable financial position. Now, after ESG initiatives like renewable energy adoption and workforce improvement, fixed costs increased from 7 million ringgit to 9 million ringgit. Even though revenue per unit stayed the same, the higher cost pushed the break-even point up to 1.8 million units, which is an increase of 400,000 units. With sales still at 2 million units, profit dropped from 3 million ringgit to 1 million ringgit, and the margin of safety fell to 10%. So in the short term, ESG adoption leads to higher cost, lower profit, and a smaller safety buffer. Now the key question is whether selling 2 million units is still adequate after ESG. Technically, yes, because SolarTech still break even and earn a profit, but the buffer has dropped sharply from 30% to 10%. This means any small drop in sales could result in losses. So while 2 million units is still enough, the business becomes more vulnerable and less flexible. Comparing the result before and after ESG implementation, SolarTech faced short-term financial pressure with its profit drop from 2 million ringgit, break-even increasing by 400,000 units and the margin of safety falling from 30% to 10%. However, ESG is not about quick returns. It's a long-term strategy that improves sustainability, strengthens brand reputation, builds investor trust, and enhances competitiveness. So although SolarTech experienced short-term financial pain, this investment positioned the company for stronger long-term growth and stakeholder confidence. Now I will pass to Natalie.
Hi, I'm Natalie. After implementing the ESG compliance measures, SolarTech's fixed cost increased from 7 million ringgit to 9 million ringgit, while the selling price per unit remained at 15 ringgit and the variable cost per unit remained at 10 ringgit. This reduced the profit from 3 million ringgit to 1 million ringgit. If no cost recovery strategies are implemented, the profit will remain as 1 million ringgit. To improve profitability, 2 cost recovery strategies are evaluated based on cost volume profit analysis. In scenario A, SolarTech plans to increase their selling price by 40 cents per unit, which causes the new selling price per unit to be 15 ringgit and 40 cents while keeping the variable cost per unit at 10 ringgit. At the current sales volume of 2 million units, profit is expected to increase from 1 million ringgit to 1.8 million ringgit. The margin of safety improves from 10% to 16.67%, indicating that the company is safer from losses than before. Financially, this strategy causes the company to face risk of losing market share and revenue, as price-sensitive customers may reduce purchases or switch to competitors offering cheaper alternatives. Lowered sales volume reduces the profit gain. Non-financially, there's reputational risk. If customers view the price increase as the company passing on the cost of the ESG compliance to them, this perception weakens customers' trust in the company, which is harmful especially when the company is still rebuilding its sustainability image. In scenario B, SolarTech plans to increase the sales volume by 12%, which causes the new sales volume to increase from 2 million units to 2.24 million units, while maintaining the selling price per unit at 15 ringgit and the variable cost per unit at 10 ringgit. This raises the expected profit from 1 million ringgit to 2.2 million ringgit. The margin of safety improves from 10% to 19.64%, which means that the company is more secure for potential losses. Financially, this approach causes the company to face risk of having high operating costs and cash flow pressure. Producing larger sales volume requires greater use of materials and labor, increasing expenditure and working capital needs. More cash will be tied up in inventory and receivables, which could tighten liquidity and raise short-term financing needs. Non-financially, there's operational strain and sustainability risks. High production level puts strain on employees and machinery, which reduces efficiency and affects product quality, damaging the company's reputation. Additionally, expanding production capacity could temporarily increase emission, creating sustainability alignment risks that may conflict with the company's ESG goals. Both recovery strategies enhance profitability and margin of safety, but scenario B is a more financially attractive and strategically sustainable option. It's expected to generate a higher profit of 2.2 million ringgit and a stronger margin of safety of 19.64% compared to scenarios A, 1.8 million ringgit profit and 16.67% margin of safety. It also avoids market and reputational risks associated with price increase in scenario A, which maintains customer trust and competitiveness in price-sensitive markets. Although scenario B has higher operational and working capital risks, these are manageable with careful liquidity planning and resource management. Overall, scenario B is preferred because it provides a stronger cost volume profit position and aligns better with Solartech's ESG reputation recovery through efficient production and stable customer demand growth. I will now hand it over to Chen Qi.
Hi, I'm Qian Qi. I will be presenting the cash budget projection for Solartech from 2025 to 2027. Starting with the base year 2024, Solartech recorded 20 million ringgit in cash receipts and 60 million ringgit in operating payments, leaving an opening cash balance of 4 million ringgit. In 2025, cash receipts are expected to drop 5% to 19 million ringgit as customer demand weakens, while payments surge by 40% to 22.4 million ringgit due to heavy ESG spending. This leads to a net cash outflow of 3.4 million ringgit, reducing the closing balance to 600,000 ringgit. It represents a cash shortage since outflows exceed inflows. Liquidity is tight but remains positive due to the opening balance. In 2026, receipts increased 5% to 19.95 million ringgit as customers regain trust in Solartech's greener operations, while payments fall to 19.2 million ringgit. The net inflow of 750,000 ringgit, raising the closing balance to 1.35 million ringgit. This shows a cash surplus that receipts recover and ESG costs begin to stabilize. By 2027, receipts increased a further 7% to 21.35 million ringgit, supported by new contracts and enhanced ESG reputation. Meanwhile, payments grow 5% to 20.16 million ringgit. The net inflow of 1.19 million ringgit raises the closing balance to 2.54 million ringgit, another cash surplus reflecting stable liquidity. This table summarizes the overall 3 years cash budget projection for Solartech. So, can Solartech sustain cash flow under ESG compliance? First, looking at liquidity resilience, although 2025 records a cash shortage, the company maintains positive closing balance every year. This shows that it can self-finance its ESG compliance without relying on external overdraft as long as cash receipts arrive on time. Next, in terms of ESG impact, the cash dip in 2025 mainly results from front-loaded ESG spending. Although these expenses raise costs temporarily, they begin to generate operational savings and stronger market trust from 2026 onward. Moving on, the company's growth and reputation strengthen in the years later. The receipts growth in 2026 and 2027 indicates that international clients are responding positively to its greener operations, leading to higher inflows and improved business confidence. Finally, looking at financial sustainability, the closing cash balance climbs steadily from 600,000 ringgit to 2.54 million ringgit. This upward movement clearly demonstrates that ESG investments are not only ethical but also financially sustainable in the medium term. I will now pass to Boon Kiat.
Thank you, Chen Tzu. Hi, I'm Boon Kiat, and I will be talking about strategies to manage cash shortfalls. Given the persistent cash shortage, Solartech must act quickly. First, they should apply for green loans and government grants, such as those offered by MIDA, to lower financing costs. It is also important to negotiate longer payment terms of 90 to 120 days with suppliers to spread the cost of ESG compliance. Next, the company should boost cash inflows by offering early payment discount and asking for advance deposits. This helps reduce the time needed to collect payments. They need to follow up with overdue account within a few days and consider consider factoring receivable for immediate cash. Finally, Solartech should market itself as a green supplier to justify charging higher price and expand into market where ESG is required. Using energy efficient equipment can also reduce costs and improve profit. Without this, ESG goals simply cannot be sustained. Solartech struggles with two main ESG challenges: high carbon emission due to using coal power electricity and lack of diversity and inclusivity in its workforce, especially with women making up only 15% of its employees. Because of this issue, the company faced several reputational risks, leading to warning from major international clients who threatened to cancel contracts unless Solartech improves its environmental and social practice. Poor ESG performance also weakens Solartech's attractiveness as an employer, especially for talent women and younger engineers. The pressure to comply with ESG standards pushed Solartech to invest $2 million in rooftop solar panel and diversity programs, which, while necessary to retain clients, significantly strained its financial resource in the short term. Ultimately, this challenge forced Solartech to recognize that ignoring ESG could threaten not only just its reputation, but also the very survival of its business. If Solartech focuses only on short-term profit and postpone ESG reforms, it risks losing key international clients and lucrative contracts. This strategy might temporarily improve cash flow, but it will undermine the company's reputation, making it more difficult to compete globally in the long run. Furthermore, failing to adopt ESG measures could expose Solartech to regulatory penalties and limit its access to green financing, both of which are becoming increasingly important in its industry. In the long term, prioritizing profit over sustainability would mean missing out on growth opportunities in market where ESG compliance is mandatory, and could even jeopardize the company's future by leaving it unable to meet stakeholder expectations and attract new investment. And now I will pass it to Kai-Sian.
Hi everyone, my name is Chen Kai-Sian, and I will talk about the ethical decision framework and typical dilemmas. If ESG is negative, we risk losing contract and hurting the brand, so we can govern ESG with KPIs and cash triggers. In the framework, we have three principles. First is the duty and compliance. Well, we meet the ESG, also and follow the anti-discrimination law. Second is the consequence: cut energy use and emissions, build a talent pipeline, make revenue more stable. Third is the justice and fairness, to give equal opportunity with clear criteria. Next, I will talk about the applying the framework to common dilemma. First is pricing. If we raise the price, we must show the value of the USG and the real USG result to gain the reliable from customer. Next is the diversity height of skill with fair panel and mentoring, not quotas alone. Last is the speed and safety. Never compress safety or quality for quantity, even though it's tight deadline. Next, I will talk about the ethical action plan. Our plan is measurable and cash award. For quarterly KPIs, emission per unit going down, target at least 20% lower by 2027, and women in leadership going up, target at least 25% by 2027. Cash feed, we stage spending, keep an overdraft ready for 2025, collect faster and keep inventory lean. Triggers, if received more than 5% below the plan, or either KPIs split for 2 quarters, we post low, impact and spend, and refocus. Next is the government action, and ESG strategy committee meets quarterly review dashboard and assign owner. We use a supply code with audits. We run buys, award, hiring, training, and safe speak up channel. And we link part of leadership's bonus to the 2 KPIs. Last is the conclusion. We confirm that the business is still viable after ESG. Break-even is 1.8 million unit. At 2 million unit profit, about 1 million, we chose scenario B with a 12% volume increase. Scenario B give about 2.2 million profit and a bigger safety buffer that a price rise. Cash drip once in 2025 by 3.4 million, covered by the 4 million opening cash. Cash then built to 2.54 million by 2027. We continue USG with criteria, KPIs, supply standard training, and align incentive. This keep finance steady, protect contract and the brands and support the sustainable long-term goal. And that's all for us. Thank you for listening for our presentation.